So when you look back at this criticality of the skill that you talk about, right? Uh, when you start off right from your schooling, the real challenge that you have is there are methods of evaluating and assessing. How good are you in math? How good are you in science? But the way you speak and communicate is very qualitative, right? So therefore, it's your perception of whether I'm a good communicator or not, and therefore there are qualitative assessments. So therefore, you don't probably have the right assessment and preparation methods, and suddenly here you are at work where you need to start communicating. So how do I prepare myself over years to be ready to actually get to be the best at what you are talking about, communicating to people, communicating to my team, communicating to my stakeholders? So how do I prepare myself? And it can't happen overnight, right? Suddenly I'm in a job, I'm graduating, I'm in a environment, in a workplace. So how do you think assessments need to be looked at, and how do I prepare myself? Slightly longish question, but probably you
No,
are
and I
best
want to
at
break it.
answering this.
Yes, well, I'd like to break it down into the two parts. You are absolutely right that the study of communication needs to be assessed and looked at differently than some other areas of study. But it is not altogether different from writing and some of the areas of the humanities and social sciences, where is less exactness in the way that we assess. That said, there are some very tried and true foundational principles by which we can look at and give feedback for communication. So while it is different, absolutely, I don't think that precludes us from teaching it and striving to help people be better. I've taught this for decades, and we have quite successfully found ways to help our students improve and get better. Is it a test where there's a quantitative answer? No, but there are ways to assess. And a lot of communication success comes from assessing yourself relative to yourself. So how did you start? How did you end? The progress that you make. So there are absolutely ways to assess. Now, how do we get better at this? And the answer is the same way you get better at anything you endeavor to do, a sport, a musical instrument. It takes three things: repetition, reflection, and feedback. The only ways. You have to practice. You have to give yourself opportunities to practice. That's what taking classes does for you. There are organizations like Toastmasters. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but Toastmasters is a very popular international organization that gives you an opportunity. So you have to practice. The second step is you have to reflect. You know that definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results? That's how many of us communicate. Our goal is just to get it done. But that's not enough. You have to think about what worked and what didn't work. And that's how you begin to get better. So reflection is important. And then finally, you need to seek out others. You need to get feedback. This is what teachers, mentors are for, coaches are for. That's what podcasts like yours, like mine, what books are for. There are lots of ways to get feedback. And we have to take that feedback and then use it to help improve ourselves. So if you are a soon-to-be graduating student, you should be seeking out opportunities to practice. You should be volunteering in class to answer questions. You should be interviewing for practice. You should be speaking up in social events and other activities that you do. And then reflecting and getting feedback from others. If you are somebody in a current role wishing to achieve higher status, a bigger job, a bigger title, you should be practicing. You should find low stakes situations where you can get the reps in. So it requires effort. It requires effort. But with that effort come great rewards and great knowledge that you are not only communicating and being successful getting your points across, but you're also role modeling for others to help them get better. So you asked me a long question. I gave you a long answer, but it's a really important discussion topic.